One thing we can count on for sure is that things will change. Understanding that change is cyclical has the ability to stabilize you and possibly accelerate the change you're experiencing simply by understanding where you fall in the cycle. That's powerful, yeah? Greetings. My name is Dawn from Project Liberate, where I'm concerned with all things that have to do with liberation. Please look at my previous videos and build your life fitness if you too want liberation. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you found the content in this video valuable. In this video, I'm going to discuss the 3 catalysts of change, mention the 4 stages of the change cycle, and go a little more in depth into the first part of square one, and that's the first phase of change. My intention here is to motivate you to dive deeper into this topic so that you can ride the waves of change better than ever, like the champ you were born to be. First off, I'm using Martha Beck's book, Finding Your Own North Star, as my resource for this video. Martha refers to the phases of change as squares. The first thing to note is that a catalyst propels you into the first aspect or square of the change cycle. The 3 catalytic events that bring on change are shock, opportunity, and transition. A shock catalyst is something that comes from outside of you, like you're downsized out of your job, or a death, or a spouse leaves, etc. Shocks leave people dazed and confused. So if you're experiencing a shock, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. I think this piece of advice is handy. Don't make any big decisions in your life when you're experiencing a shock catalyst in square one, especially when you're blindsided by the shock. You are likely to be more vulnerable, and apparently there are predators who prey on those experiencing shock in square one. And by the way, shock and square one are synonymous, so we're talking about the same one, right? So you're not going to be in another change cycle. Well, you could be and experience a shock, but we're talking about the shock and square one are synonymous. When you have a shock experience, that kind of catalyst in your life, then you're in square one. It puts you squarely in square one. Do your best to avoid or delay commitment until you firmly reground yourself. Opportunity catalyst is just that. Things that come to your attention or that you create that open doors. Martha states that they always look like lucky breaks and that they happen when we come across the possibility of making a huge step towards the life our truest selves want to live. While the ultimate result will surely be magnificent, we will grieve no less than if we've experienced a shock, because some things, a lot of things, or maybe everything has to go to make room for the new, and the process is just painful. And I might add, it can't be avoided. The transition catalyst comes from within and occurs slowly over time. One's discontent swells in them over time, becoming less and less manageable and harder to overlook or ignore. However, it's not because your life is horrible or you have to change because you lost your job or fired a spouse or someone passed away. You will likely experience a great deal of indecision with this catalyst, more so than the other 2. You will likely experience fear of failing and shame around all you let go by choice. In this situation, some people will not understand your desire to change or your discomfort. This catalyst is born from the depths of you, and there will come a time when your life will have to change drastically so your life is aligned with your essential true self. You won't have it any other way. That old way of living is toast. The necessity to be your own cheerleader was never more crucial than when you're driven from your comfortable, not so comfortable life towards your best, truest life, because you may seem insane, ungrateful, and or foolish to others. The arena of change starts in square one, described as the death and rebirth phase of the change cycle. For instance, if you leave your job by choice or you're fired, that old identity of doing whatever Wherever you were dies, and it's necessary that it does, so that you can birth and create something new. Even if you consciously choose the change, dying of what was causes grief. Grieving the life you once lived, the life you were familiar with. What's essential here is that you allow the grief, not deny it. Denying it will surely prolong your time in square one, because denial is a resistance to change. As a reminder, grief comes in waves. When it eases, catch your breath. But when it inevitably returns, allow it. Repeat until it finally subsides. The good news here is that if you tap into your deeper knowing, Martha calls it your essential self, you can reinvent yourself as the best version of you ever. Most people have a fear of death. As I understand it, the type of death we experience time and time again in life, where we find ourselves in square one, is the actual death we fear because we're familiar with it. We've lived it again and again. We are and become time and time again very attached to our identities. And if you're anything like me, life keeps calling me to show up fully. This means I keep shedding layers of who I've been and who I am. Each shedding is a death of who I've been attached to being. Each death requires grieving. Allowing grief eventually gives way to rebirth. Resisting death gives way to suffering, and instead of inviting rebirth, it creates major delays. I felt stuck for some time, and in reflection, I believe that it was resistance to letting old identities and all that goes with them fall away. Once you have accepted that your old life is no more, you move through two other aspects of square one. There's the threshold and then on to rebirth. Yes, rebirth. There are also strategies that can support you moving through square one with more ease and grace. And this is just the first part of square one of the change cycle. The other parts or squares of the change cycle are square two, dreaming and scheming, square three, the hero's saga, and square four, the promised land. Now that sounds promising, right? This is an extremely invaluable topic that I will gladly continue in other videos. Lastly, I want to say, understanding the change cycle means that you can recognize where you are, because we are always somewhere in the cycle, on the cycle. From there, we can do supportive things to help ourselves so that we can move through the stages or the squares with more grace and fluidity. If we understand the change cycle, I truly believe that it can help us suffer less, embrace where we are, and even help us move more effortlessly through and possibly more quickly through the first square, because we simply resist less. I think this work is tremendously beneficial and transformational. Thank you, Martha Beck, for your accessible work on this incredibly invaluable topic. Remember, you are the light of the world. That's why you're here. That's your only function. I am the light of the world. That's why I'm here. That's my only function. May you be well. May you be happy. This has been a 721 Yellow Banana production. Yeah! Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you found the content in this video valuable. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Project Liberate, Liberate, Liberate.